Hello Internet, this is my 1976 Honda Goldwing GL1000 that I've been doing lots of work to pick this bike up over the spring. I've done tons of work to the motor over the winter time, and I'm getting it out for the season, although it's still kind of chilly up in Michigan. We're still seeing 40-degree weather. Done lots of work to the bike. I still have some work to do. I had to put the original chrome fenders on. I had some aftermarket stuff on it when I got the bike, so I opted for the factory chrome. I still need to get the factory turn signals. Those are not factory there. I did swap out the exhaust. It had the Delcovic 2-4 system. I wasn't really a fan of it. It didn't sound very good, and it didn't look right either. This sounds much better in my opinion, and helps the engine run better. These turn signals in the back are not factory either. They just look factory. Here, I'm going to start it up now. I believe the bike just hit 20,000 miles on the odometer. Those are original. And as some of you might know, it's pretty low for a Goldwing. You're really going to have a hard time finding anything with lower miles than that. These things were used. I see these things all the time on Facebook that have car mileage on them. 50, 60, 70, 80,000 miles. And if you have the later ones, like the GL 1500s, those I've even seen with over 200,000 miles and still running. That's what it sounds like. See, 73 miles on this gas tank, and we're hitting kind of low. So I think she needs to warm up. It does have an oil leak down there. I'm having trouble fixing the oil leak, but you know, it's a 50-year-old bike, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. I don't have to fill the oil up too often in it, so it's not too bad. It is a flat 4-cylinder engine, so I do tend to burn oil. It's just like a Subaru engine, and those are notorious for burning oil. These things basically do the same thing, just like every other flat 4 motor, so there's that. This thing has the electronic ignition unit on it instead of point ignition. That came with the bike. I decided to keep it. It does run pretty good with it, and you don't have to clean points every now and then, so that's nice. I did do the Dodge Neon ignition coil swap, so instead of having to get another set of expensive motorcycle ignition coils, you can wire up a Dodge Neon or Mini Cooper ignition set into one of these bikes, and it does run pretty good. However, the factory system is 7 to 9 volts, and the car ignition is 12 volts. So if you have other things on the bike that are taking power, you might be putting some stress on the alternator of this bike. They're not rated for all that much more than just running the engine and maybe a radio unit if you had a windjammer in one of these. But yeah, I've been riding the bike around. I ride to work sometimes, and it does totally fine. Alright, I'm gonna get you guys on my helmet now, and we're gonna go for a ride. I got you guys on my helmet now. Try to ride with the helmet on as often as I can, just because, you know, stuff happens, and on a motorcycle you do attract lots of negative attention, especially with how idiotic the drivers are in Michigan. So people see you wearing a camera, they're not going to fool around with you on the road. I overall experience much less tomfoolery when I wear the camera. If it's not even rolling, people are safer around me when they see it, or they stop doing stupid things when they see it. Alright, so we're just gonna go for like a 10-minute ride here. It's getting kind of cold, so I gotta head home. So let's go. Got the classic beeper, like a lot of old Hondas do. probably noticed the headlights are a little bit weird. It kind of flickers, but when I put my high beams on, it doesn't really flicker much. It does shift a little bit rough. I replaced the cables, but when the motor gets warm, it's not so bad. At higher RPM, the gear shifter can grind a little bit, but as long as it's shifting reliably, it's all I care about. That's the other thing I forgot to mention about this bike, is that's repainted. The original color was red on it, and the previous owner painted it black. I thought about getting a factory paint job. I really like the blue color these things came in, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be riding this thing a lot, so I'm not sure if I want to put that kind of money into it to make it, you know, like a showroom bike, and then be afraid to ride it and, you know, have fun with it and things. Stop here. Lower RPM, it's not too bad. It just sort of clicks into gear, but higher up the RPMs you go, the rougher it gets. So I'm thinking maybe next riding season, it's gonna need a new clutch. The clutch itself doesn't slip or anything. It's just kind of rough. Clutches in these are very reliable. Out of the few old bikes that I've had, usually they all have clutch problems as soon as you get them, but these things, not so much. Down here. Thank you, sir. We're clear after this car. I've ridden my fair share of new bikes. There's pros and cons. Those newer sport bikes are easy to handle, but they're really not comfortable. And this was definitely much smoother than any modern cruiser bike that I've ridden, including Harley Davidson. Maybe with the exception of the newer model 6-cylinder goldwings. Okay, we're getting kind of close to my house, so I think I'm gonna stop it here before I dox myself to the internet. There it is. It does have aftermarket LED light. Like when you're riding at night, it does pretty good. It just flickers a lot when you're moving, and I don't know, it might be drawing more power because it has a cooling fan inside of there to cool the LED bulb, which is kind of ridiculous, but I don't know. If it makes it run better, I might put the factory light on. The brake light probably needs a new bulb. It's looking kind of dim. But yeah, I think I'm gonna cut it out here. So I'll probably do more work to this bike, but for the most part, I'm gonna be riding it a lot this summer. This is probably gonna be what I ride most often. I did just pick up a 1971 Honda CP750, and I'm redoing the engine inside of that bike as well. So, I mean, that bike's gonna be more of a custom cafe racer. This is my original bike. They're just the best when they're original. People try to modify them, and it really doesn't make any sense to me why people modify these. They drive perfectly good for a cruiser bike, in my opinion. And the handling on them is okay. You're kind of just limited by the height of the foot pegs. You kind of scrape those a little bit if you lean in too hard. But yeah, anyway, I think I've run out of things to talk about on this bike here. It's overall pretty good. If you're new to bikes and if you guys want to get into classic motorcycles, these things, the parts availability is out there. All sorts of information online. You can get the shop manual PDFs, and I don't know. It's just a really good classic bike to get into. With other bike brands, you don't get the parts availability, the reliability, just the information online for them. So I think I'm going to cut it here. Until next time.